Welcome to my CBSE English teacher. Today let's look at the line-by-line explanation of the second part of the chapter, Two Stories About Flying, the Black Aeroplane from Class 10 English. If you're watching my video for the first time, please subscribe. You can listen to the explanations of chapters from classes 10, 11 and 12 English. And don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a video. Let's move on to the lesson now. The Black Aeroplane is written by Frederick Forsyth. He was an English author, journalist, a former spy, and an occasional political commentator. He is best known for thrillers such as The Day of the Jackal, The Odessa File, The Fourth Protocol, and The Dogs of War, etc. The Black Aeroplane is a very interesting story. It also has some amount of mystery in it. Now, this is a story about a pilot who was able to reach his home safely in the midst of a storm. So, the lesson also teaches us about not losing hope at any point of time. So, now let's move on to the story. The moon was coming up in the east behind me, and the stars were shining in the clear sky above me. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was happy to be alone high up above the sleeping countryside. So the narrator is a pilot and he was flying his aircraft in the night. It was a clear sky, he says, and he saw the moon and the stars all around. And he says that he was feeling very happy to be alone up in the sky above the sleeping countryside. What is sleeping countryside? So it was night time. Countryside means the village side. All the people were sleeping and he was flying up in the sky in his aircraft. I was flying my old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. So he's saying that the model of his plane was an old Dakota. So he was flying his old Dakota and he was going from France to England. I was dreaming of my holiday and looking forward to being with my family. So he was so enthusiastic about going back to England because he was going to meet his family. He was going to have a holiday and enjoy with them. I looked at my watch, 1:30 in the morning. So when he looked at the watch, what was the time? It was 1:30 in the morning. I should call Paris control soon, I thought. So he thought that he has to inform the Paris control. We know that he is flying from Paris to London. So he had to give some message to the Paris control room. As I looked down past the nose of the aeroplane, I saw the lights of a big city in front of me. I switched on the radio and said, Paris control Dakota DS008 here. Can you hear me? So he wanted to pass on some message to the Paris control room. And so when he looked down from his plane, he could see the big city, he could see the lights and all that. And so he started giving his message. So Dakota DS008 here means it's the code that is used for his plane. So he's asking them, can you hear me? I'm on my way to England, over. So he just gave them a message that he's flying to England. So that was the message he wanted to give to the Paris control tower. The voice from the radio answered me immediately. DS008, I can hear you. You ought to turn 12 degrees west now. DS088, over. So he got a response from the control room. And what did that person say? The person just told him that you have to turn 12 degrees west now. So it gave him a message. I checked the map and the compass, switched over to my second and last fuel tank and turned the Dakota 12 degrees west towards England. I'll be in time for breakfast, I thought. So when he gave the message to the control tower that he is going to England, he got a reply message telling him that he has to turn his plane 12 degrees towards the west. And so he looked at his compass. Compass is used for checking the direction. Okay, so he looked at his compass and he switched over to the fuel tank. He had very little fuel and it was the last fuel tank that he was switching over to. And so he turned his plane 12 degrees towards the west. And he was feeling happy that he would be in time in London for having his breakfast. A good English breakfast. So, what is this English breakfast? It usually consists of bacon, fried eggs, sausages, and some kind of a drink. So, he was so eager to have this, and so he was ready to take that journey to England. So, he was feeling very excited of meeting his family members and having this English breakfast with them. So everything was going well. It was an easy flight, so he did not face any difficulty at all, and his plane was going on smoothly. Paris was about 150 kilometers behind me when I saw the clouds. So he had already moved some 150 kilometers from Paris towards London. When I saw clouds, so what happened when he suddenly turned back, he saw some clouds in the sky. And what kind of clouds? They were storm clouds. So there was going to be a storm. So huge clouds going to make a storm was forming behind him. They were huge. They looked like black mountains standing in front of me across the sky. And soon he could see that the clouds, they were looking like mountains, and they were in front of his plane as well. I knew I could not fly up and over them, and I did not have enough fuel to fly around them to the north or south. So he was in a dilemma. What happened when he saw the outside? He could see there were storms, clouds mounting up and forming like a mountain, and that was very dangerous. So he knew that he did not have enough fuel to turn around or go back, and so he was confused. He did not know what to do. I ought to go back to Paris, I thought, but I wanted to get home. I wanted that breakfast. I'll take the risk, I thought. So he thought that maybe I should go back to Paris, but then the fuel was also very less. And he thought that no, I have to somehow reach home. I want to go back to London. I want to enjoy the English breakfast, and I'll take the risk. So he was ready to take the risk. What is the risk that he's taking? Flying through the storm. So if he faced the storm, he is not sure whether he will reach London or not. But then somehow he somehow wanted to go home and be with his family. So he was even ready to take the risk. And I thought and flew that old Dakota straight into the storm. So thinking like that, he flew his plane forward, and it started going into the storm clouds. Inside the clouds, everything was suddenly black. So as his plane entered the clouds, everything was black around. There was no light. It was too dark. It was impossible to see anything outside the plane. So as I said, it was very dark around, and he could not see anything. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. So we know that it was the storm clouds that he had entered. So the plane was not steady. It was jumping and twisting, and it was just as if it was going to fall. I looked at the compass. I couldn't believe my eyes. The compass was turning round and round and round. It was dead. So he wanted to see which direction his plane is moving now inside the storm. So he looked at his compass. So what did he see when he looked at the compass? It was just turning round and round and round, and it was not working. He says that it was dead. Okay, so he was also confused as to which direction he is flying now. It would not work. So what is not working? The compass is not working. The other instruments were suddenly dead too. So all the other instruments that are used for having contact with the control room, he tried to use them and find out or get some help, but nothing was working. I tried the radio. Paris control, can you hear me? So he thought to establish some contact with the control room. He tried to speak to the Paris control room, and then there was no answer. So nobody could answer. That means he lost all the contact with the control room as well. The radio was dead too. I had no radio, no compass, and I could not see where I was. So nothing was working, and everywhere it was totally dark. He was inside the storm clouds in the sky. I was lost in the storm. Then in the black clouds quite near me, I saw another aeroplane. Okay, then something strange happened suddenly. He suddenly saw a black aeroplane inside the clouds just near him. It had no lights on its wings, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. So he's saying that That plane did not have lights on its wings, but then it was flying just next to him inside the storm. So he saw another plane flying beside him inside the storm. I could see the pilot's face turned towards me. So he's saying that he could also see the pilot of that second aeroplane and he was turning towards him. I was very glad to see another person. So he felt very happy because it was not only he who is caught in the storm, he saw one more aeroplane and there was a pilot also. So he felt happy that he has company. He lifted one hand and waved. Follow me, he was saying. So the other aeroplane, there was a pilot sitting inside him and looking at him. So that fellow lifted his hand and what did he tell this narrator? He told him, follow me. He knows that I am lost. So I thought. So this narrator is thinking that the other aeroplane's pilot has understood that this fellow has lost his direction. So he is asking him to follow him. He is trying to help me. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of my Dakota so that it would be easier for me to follow him. So what happened? The other aeroplane turned towards the north so that this aeroplane could also be turned easily and follow him. So he was very happy that there was another aeroplane and a pilot who was ready to help him and take him out of this danger. What is the danger he is facing now? He is caught inside this storm and he is not able to establish his contact with anybody. He is also not knowing where to go. I was very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. So now he was facing a danger, but then he found company and somebody was there to help him. And so he quietly followed. He's saying that he was happy to be an obedient child, just obeying the other person and go behind. So after half an hour, the strange black aeroplane was still there in front of me in the clouds. So for half an hour they were flying, and after half an hour also the other aeroplane was still in front of him inside the clouds. Now here was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 or 10 minutes more. So now he understood that his aeroplane has only fuel for flying just for 5 or 10 minutes more. He knew that he was already using the second and the last tank which had only a little bit of fuel. So he's saying that only fuel is left for flying for 5 or 10 more minutes. So I was starting to feel frightened again. So this increased his tension because if fuel goes off or if the fuel is over, then he will not be able to fly. Again he will face the danger of crash landing or something. So again he started feeling frightened because of the fuel. But he then started to go down and I followed through the storm. But then he was surprised to see that the other aeroplane which was leading him, which was in front of him, started going down. That means it is time to land. So he also very happily followed the other aeroplane. Suddenly I came out of the clouds and saw two long straight lines in front of me. What happened? As he was following the other plane down, suddenly he saw that there were two straight lines and lights in front of me. So what is that? That is the runway for a plane to land. It was a runway, an airport. I was safe. So when he saw the runway, he understood that it was an airport, and he was also so happy that he had reached an airport. I turned to look for my friend in the black aeroplane, but the sky was empty. So he was happy to find the airport, and just as he reached the airport, he started looking around for the other aeroplane that was so helpful for him, that lead him and took him to this airport. But then he understood that the sky was empty. He could not see the second aeroplane. There was nothing there. So he looked everywhere, he looked around, he looked up, then he could not see the aeroplane that was leading him. The black aeroplane was gone. I could not see it anywhere. I landed and was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. So he's saying he landed at the airport. He landed safely. There was no trouble. And he's saying that he was not sorry to walk away. Why he is saying that he was not sorry to walk away? Because he was able to save his life from that aeroplane. So he just reached the airport and then landed and then walked away from the old Dakota, that is his aircraft, and he moved towards the control tower. I went and asked a woman in the control center where I was and who the pilot was. So as soon as he landed, he moved towards the tower, and then he saw a woman sitting there, and he asked her, "Where is this place? Where am I? And where is the other pilot?" Who is the other pilot he is talking about? The plane that was in front of him and who helped him reach here safely. I wanted to say thank you. So he told the woman that he was looking for the other pilot because he wanted to thank that person. She looked at me very strangely and laughed. So the woman, so she gave him a strange look. So why did she give him a strange look? Another aeroplane up there in the storm? No other aeroplanes were flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar. So the woman gave a strange reply because what did she say? She told him that, "Why are you asking for another aeroplane? There is no other aeroplane. Only your aeroplane was there, and that was the only one I could see on the radar." What is this radar? Now, radar is a system which is able to track, aeroplanes or ships or whatever. So it's a system used for tracking. So here she says that she could not see any other aeroplane except his. So she was very sure and told him that there was only one plane and not two planes. So who helped me to arrive there safely without a compass or a radio and without any more fuel in my tanks? Who was the pilot on the strange black aeroplane flying in the storm without lights? So this narrator was totally confused. So he's asking himself all these questions like, where is that second aeroplane? Where is the pilot? Who is that person who helped me to arrive here? Especially when I was in a situation when the tank is about to be empty, when the fuel is about to be over, and there are no lights also. So where is that person, or who is that person who helped me to land safely? So actually this is the confidence that was there inside the pilot itself. He did not lose hope at any point of time. He had a strong determination that he would want to reach his family and have a breakfast with them. So that is the thing that led him to reach the airport safely. So he had complete confidence. He never lost hope. So though he was fantasizing that there was an aeroplane in front of him, there was nothing actually in front of him. It was only his hope that was helping him to reach safely in the place where he wanted to. So that is the theme of the story also. Never lose hope in any situation. Keep your hopes completely so that you will be able to overcome any situation or any difficult situation in life. So I hope you liked today's video. For more interesting videos, do subscribe to my CBSE English teacher, like and share, and don't forget to give your valuable comments below. Thank you for watching.